Howdy. It's May 1st, 2015 as I make this May Day, which used to be a celebration of spring and has since been commandeered by Marxists as the International Marxist Christmas. There have been riots and riot-like demonstrations around the country all week, especially in Baltimore. It seems likely that there will be even bigger riots this evening. I hope I'm wrong. It's also plausible to me that there will be riots all weekend, given that it's Friday. And it seems completely plausible to me that these riots have been the agenda of this presidential administration since 2009. That everything that has been done by Barack Obama and his Department of Social Injustice has been aimed toward pitting Americans against each other, especially along color lines, in pursuit of a national police force. That our thousands standing around the TSA is not enough of an indignity to American liberty, that we're going to surrender all of our liberty to a national army of brown shirts sometime shortly. I hope that's not so. I hope I'm wrong. This is dreadful, dour, ugly news, and therefore I'd like to give you some good news. Instead, I will give you three pieces of good news, two of which are transient and may not work out, and one of which seems very important to me. So the first one, this week, scientists revealed that they may have discovered the cure for aging, and as soon as you say something like that, you want the therapy immediately. I expect it'll take a while to get to you, but it's exciting news in any case to attack the biological basis of aging in such a way that all of the ailments that we associate with senescence are greatly ameliorated and maybe even stalled, stopped, that we could stop our aging at a particular bioage and maintain that bioage indefinitely. That's a wonderful thing. The corollary premise is that you will maintain the attitude of youth, and this is incorrect, that no matter how driven, incandescent, or sociable you are in your personality type, you will become gradually more cautious over time as reality bites you in the ass. And so if you are lucky enough to live to be 150 years old, you are going to be a very young-looking, very old mind. Until we work out some way of becoming most appropriately sociable in the way that we respond to the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, we're going to age in our minds, even if our bodies cease to age. But this is very good news in any case. The second piece of good news, which may be entirely apocryphal, may be nothing but a wild-ass rumor, is that NASA may have perfected a slightly slower-than-light space drive. It's being referred to as a warp drive, and that's incorrect. It is not faster than light, but it is reputed to be slightly slower than light. There are implausibilities associated with this if you understand the consequences of moving at extremely high rates of speed, extremely high fractions of the speed of light. There are all kinds of physical laws that come into play that make this proposition seem unlikely, and the other part of the story is that if it actually exists, if it actually works, nobody knows why, which is actually the most exciting part of the story if it's true, is that there is a brand new theory of physics to come out of this, sooner or later, somehow or another. But even if we don't understand how it works, we can still take advantage of the technology to explore our solar system and to take a 4 or 5 year trip to Proxima Centauri to find out if there's any real estate worth occupying there, and if not, move on from there to the next star system, etc. Heinlein said, humanity is too small and fragile an egg to be kept in one basket, and I think that is completely true. I will sleep a lot better when I know that the destiny of the human mind isn't trapped on this one little blue ball, that one psychopath like Barack Obama cannot destroy all of human destiny with one fatally stupid decision, and I set no limits on the fatally stupid decisions that man can make. But if you remember all the stories that you've heard about cold fusion over the years, take this story with a couple boulders of salt. It probably is not true, just so I'm absolutely clear about this. I'm excited anyway because I want it to be true. I want this to be true. And it's good news anyway, and it's good to have good news to think about when there's too much bad in the news. But the third piece of news that I'd like to highlight is that the Koch brothers are funding programs to help our undocumented immigrant friends get their driver's licenses. And the typical Republican conservative reaction to that, you can find it in Breitbart.com today, is to piss and moan about the awful injustice of it all and that it's just not fair. It's just exactly like their reaction to Obamacare. It's just not fair, and we're going to piss and moan and pout and do absolutely nothing to change anything until it's impossible to change anything. The Republican, conservative, libertarian, the entire grand old party wing of the political spectrum is devoted to losing at all costs, and losing in the most ignominious possible ways, losing like bad sports at everything that they do. Yeah, Marxists are criminals. Yeah, Democrats are unjust. Yeah, liberals are vicious, evil people who will stop at nothing to attain their political objectives. All of these things are true. These are very bad people. You will not cause them to cease to try to dominate your life by resenting it. This will not work. It hasn't worked all along, and it will not work in the future. And so I want to salute the Koch brothers for taking a different tack. We understand that one of two things could happen as a result of the massive illegal immigration that the Obama administration has been fostering all these years, but especially last year when it became big news. We understand what he's doing. He's importing Democrats. He's importing all the Democrats that Democrats have flushed down the abortion toilet. They've killed 53 million of their own voters, and so they have to import new voters, or they're going to lose electoral battles left and right in the future. They understand that. We don't. We don't know what they're doing. I know what they're doing. I understand exactly what they're doing. Marxists aren't subtle, and they're generally lazy. It's real easy to figure out what they're up to, but they're much better strategists than the putative anti-Marxists, and you can see that in this example, how they're going to make this happen regardless of whatever objections Republicans and other supposed anti-Marxists might raise. This is going to happen anyway. It seems hugely likely that it's going to happen. If it doesn't, okay. If the Republicans manage to reverse this, okay, but if it does happen, then how are the anti-Marxist forces to respond? And the response, of course, so far has been petulance and resentment, inaction and rancor, with absolutely no anticipation about what we might do if these people do remain in the United States and if they do acquire the right to vote. And I think it's brilliant on the part of the Koch brothers to go out and make friends with these people. They're wonderful people in any case. They're very socially conservative, very pro-family, in large measure eminently persuadable to an anti-Marxist position because they have seen the ugly consequences of Marxism at firsthand much better than Americans have. These are potentially lifelong anti-Marxist voters if anti-Marxist organizers go out and engage in a rapprochement, engage in recruiting these people, and I salute the Koch brothers for doing that. I think it's brilliant. What we can see in Baltimore, what we can see in every other social phenomenon that we might draw attention to, including the incredible obesity of our teenagers, these are things that we've been talking about here for at least a year. What we're seeing is a state of being underfathered. In Baltimore, it's virtually ubiquitous fatherlessness. These young men who are engaging in these protests and riots don't have any fathers at home and have never had reliable, self-responsible father figures at home, whether or not they have biological fathers at home. Almost none of them do, but not even responsible father figures at home. The one great adult hero of these riots was a single mom who came out and beat up her kid on TV and dragged him home. We note that there were no fathers nor any other mothers out there doing the same thing. There's one person we can point to as the one grown-up in the Baltimore riots. There are no fathers out there. The fathers, to the extent that they have fathered children, are among the people throwing rocks and bombs and cutting fire hoses, smashing cars, burning buildings, stealing condoms and toilet paper, looting condoms and toilet paper. All of this, everything, every bit of this, everything that we can decry in the state of America, the state of the Union as it exists on May 1st, 2015, every bit of it is a consequence of fatherlessness. And the way that anti-Marxist forces will push back against Marxism, ideally stemming the tide, reversing course, moving in the opposite direction, moving toward greater individual liberty, greater autonomy, greater sovereignty, zero taxes, no legislation, no criminal law, everything that I want. The way that we'll move in my direction is by reasserting the role of the self-responsible father in the family. And I talk about this stuff all the time, and there are all kinds of things that can be done strategically to do this, and the things that the Koch brothers are doing, at least in Nevada, are an example of that, of helping people realize their own values, completely appropriate, normal, natural human values, and in that way befriending them so that you can talk to them about other values that will be of importance to them too. This is how you recruit people. This is how you make friends. Brilliant, brilliant. This is very good news. And so I'm appealing to the Koch brothers to get behind me. In the news about Baltimore, you will see many references to the Great Society programs and decrying Baltimore as a result of the Great Society, and that actually is the great acceleration in the destruction of Black America, was the Great Society. Other writers will point to the New Deal, and this, of course, is the beginning of the destruction of American character, was the New Deal. It didn't attack just Black America, it attacked every self-responsible American. But in reality, the crisis of fatherlessness in America and in the Western world goes back to the tender years doctrine, the idea that custody should default to the mother in the event of a divorce. Prior to the tender years doctrine, the default presumption of courts was that custody would default to the father. And this is brilliant as a legal strategy, as a legalistic strategy, as a governmental strategy, because men don't want to be stuck with the children without mom, and mom doesn't want to lose the children. And by defaulting to custody to the father, you give both parties an incentive to work it out. There was virtually no divorce in the United States prior to the tender years doctrine. The great acceleration in divorce started with that tender years doctrine because women suddenly had nothing to lose. And to the extent that men did lose something, they were happiest, I suppose, or least unhappy at losing the onerous responsibility of raising their children without a mother. It made divorce much more convenient for both parents and therefore much more destructive for children in the interests of children. Why are our children so fat? Why are they juvenile delinquents? Why can't they read? Why can't they think? Why do they run around in wildly emotional mobs? Because they don't have fathers. That's why. And if we want to fix America, we have to fix fatherhood. The default presumption of custody to the father will be decried as being sexist, and I don't have a problem with that because I really don't care. We don't have to go back to default custody of the father. I've published a marriage contract, and I'll attach it to this movie when I make it available so you can read it on the screen. But the marriage contract that I wrote simply says that whoever files for divorce loses everything, loses the kids, loses the house, loses the community property, loses everything. Whether it's mom or dad who files for divorce, if you file for divorce, you lose everything. So if your claim is that you would gnaw off your own leg to get out of this awful trap of a marriage, there it is. You gnawed it off when you signed a paper. 22 years ago, 7 years ago, 3 years ago, 18 months ago, 9 days ago, you gnawed off your leg, and now you're engaging in that separation. And this, again, is a way of understanding divorce prior to the tender years doctrine. Is if you want to divorce your spouse, then you also want to divorce your offspring. You're divorcing yourself from your family, not just your spouse. And under the idea of free association excludes the idea of forced association. Certainly no one can force you to remain against your will. But if you want to go, go. Get out. You don't have the right to destroy the rest of the family. And so even without that marriage contract, in the many states that have Republican majorities in their state legislatures and Republican governors in office, they can immediately enact legislation that says, in the event of divorce, the children, the home, and the community property go to the respondent. If you're the petitioner in the divorce, you're agreeing to lose everything. Divorce vanishes overnight. In every state where those laws are enacted, within 5 years, there will be virtually no divorce. Divorce will plummet, and couples will work out their differences or not get married in the first place. Which is what is beautiful about visiting the consequences of error upon the people who make the errors is that when you do that, they cease to make errors. When you build disincentives to error, you get less of it. When you build incentives to error, you get way more of it. I have a zillion and one ideas like this. Ideas about strategy rather than tactics, and certainly rather than rhetoric, which is useless, in order to convert people to the pro-liberty, pro-egoism, pro-free market, pro-free enterprise position. We have to show them what's in it for them. From their point of view, enslaving the Koch brothers, enslaving me, enslaving you is to their advantage. They don't understand how destructive it is of human character, but they do understand that free ice cream is always worth lining up for. And in order to convert those people and recruit them to our position, we need to show them why their values are best served by being more pro-liberty, more pro-family, more pro-ethical human behavior, more pro-values. And therefore, we need to communicate our values to the people that we want to convert. And so this is my appeal to the Koch brothers and to anybody else who understands why we need to attack this problem strategically in exactly the same way the Marxists do, in reverse, of course, but they are much better strategists than we are. Why we need to attack this problem strategically, and why failing to do that guarantees that our side will continue to lose. And so this is my appeal to the Koch brothers and anybody else with a few extra ducats in your pocket. Give me money. Help me communicate my ideas to the rest of the world, especially the rest of the United States. This is something that we can do very quickly, very easily. I have a whole lot of ideas about how this can be undertaken. I need funding, I need financing, I need help. And so, Koch brothers, I know you've got a ton of money that you're throwing at elections, that you're throwing at advocacy groups, that you're throwing at organizers and things like that, and I salute you. This is your money, it's your right to do this, and I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for having this commitment to your fellow man. This is exactly what the Marxists claim to be for and that they never do. Who's teaching undocumented immigrants in Nevada how to pass the driver's exam? Not liberals, not communists, not progressives, not Marxists, not all of the people who claim to love humankind. No, it's the Koch brothers who are routinely denounced. And how do you know that they're doing a good thing? Because they are so routinely denounced. Marxists will always tell you what's important by pointing away from it. And when they're pointing at something, they're telling you how important it is. The thing that they're bitching about that's an awful evil crime, that's generally speaking a wonderful thing. And if you look into the things that they piss and moan about, you'll find out what's wonderful about it. But in any case, if you are sick of losing, if you want to see the good guys learn better strategies for winning in these political skirmishes, then good God, go to selfadoration.com, look for the link that says, I don't go to your church. It's up there in the top menu. Click on the donate button and contribute to the Church of Splendor. I will show you how to redeem America, how to redeem all of Western civilization. But I can't do it alone, and I can't do it without funding. So, as you watch the TV this morning, this weekend, I hope you don't see the whole world go up in flames. But none of this is necessary, and all of it is easily corrected. The easiest correction of all is to restore self-responsible fatherhood, but there are all kinds of other things that we can do to recruit people to our position, because ours is the life-loving, success-achieving, hope-inducing, future-building, prosperity-creating philosophy, and theirs is nothing but death, destruction, nothing but the dump. We can change the world. I can show you how. But I need your help.